The US has warned European allies that Russia asked China for armed drones in late February as it began its invasion of Ukraine. The people who spoke on the condition of anonymity, the request has alarmed Biden administration officials who are attempting to prevent China, Russia's most powerful diplomatic partner, from coming to Vladimir Putin's aid in the war. Meanwhile, the Financial Times reported Monday that the US has informed allies that China has indicated its willingness to provide military assistance after Russia requested equipment, including surface-to-air missiles, to support its invasion of Ukraine, citing officials familiar with American diplomatic cables on the subject. According to two officials familiar with the contents of the cables, the US informed allies that Russia had requested 5 types of equipment from China, including surface-to-air missiles. Drones, intelligence-related equipment, armored vehicles, and vehicles used for logistics and support were the other categories. The cables, which were sent by the US State Department to allies in Europe and Asia, made no mention of the level or timing of any assistance that Beijing might provide to Moscow. According to one of the officials, the US has not provided allies with the intelligence that underpins its assessments. According to the Financial Times, an unidentified senior US official stated that the paper's reporting on the list of equipment was inaccurate, but no further details were provided. On Monday, White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan met for 6 hours in Rome with China's top diplomat, Communist Party Politburo member Yang Jiechi, to discuss a variety of issues including Ukraine. One US official described the meeting as intense, but declined to comment on whether the request for military aid was discussed, while Yang later called on all parties to exercise restraint in the conflict. According to the White House, Sullivan raised a range of issues in US-China relations, including the war during the meeting, according to the meeting statement. They also emphasized the importance of maintaining open lines of communication between the United States and China. According to the meeting statement, which was originally planned as a follow-up to President Joe Biden's video summit with Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping in November. In a note, Eurasia Group analysts Neil Thomas, Michael Hirson, and Ali Wen wrote, "The relatively moderate tone in the midst of a period of harsh recriminations from both sides suggests an effort to preserve diplomatic space for all call between US President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping in the coming days. A failure to hold a call or an ineffective conversation would be an ominous sign given that China's position in Ukraine could be a tipping point in the relationship." A foreign ministry summary, Yang reiterated China's call for all parties in Ukraine to exercise restraint in order to protect civilians. He said China was opposed to the spread of information that would distort or smear its position, an apparent reference to claims by US officials that Russia had requested military assistance from China. China is committed to promoting peace talks, Yang, a Politburo member of the Communist Party, said, and the international community should work together to ensure that the Russia-Ukraine peace talks produce substantive results as soon as possible, and that the situation calms down as soon as possible. Prior to the meeting with Sullivan and Yang, American officials began disclosing Russia's request for military and economic assistance. When asked about the drone request, a spokesperson for the Chinese embassy in Washington referred to an earlier statement from Foreign Ministry spokesperson Zhao Lijian on Monday night. "The United States has been maliciously disseminating disinformation against China," Zhao said. "We have played a positive role in promoting peace talks. The Biden administration has attempted to persuade Beijing to use its clout with Moscow to aid in the resolution of a conflict that has now entered its 3rd week. The president's top advisors have pressed China to enforce sanctions imposed by the United States and its European and Asian allies in Russia's economy." A senior administration official admitted on Monday that the administration is deeply concerned about Russia's alliance with China. Another source of concern raised recently by Sullivan and other Biden administration officials is the possibility that Putin will use chemical or biological weapons in Ukraine. According to two people familiar with the plans, Sullivan is attempting to contact his counterpart and the Secretary of Russia's Security Council, Nikolai Patrushev, to directly warn the Kremlin not to do so. The conference call has not yet been scheduled. Sullivan and other Biden administration officials have stated that Russia's false claims that the US and Ukraine may use chemical and biological weapons are evidence that Putin, frustrated by the slow progress of his invasion, is planning such an attack. There is an escalation of rhetoric on the Russian side accusing the Ukrainians and the US of potentially using chemical and biological weapons. Sullivan said on CBS, Face the Nation Sunday, "That's an indication that the Russians are preparing to do it and are trying to shift the blame elsewhere. Nobody should fall for it." A White House summary of their call The last publicly disclosed conversation between Sullivan and Patrushev took place in November as reports of a Russian buildup of forces on the Ukraine border emerged. According to the summary, the two men discussed several issues on the bilateral agenda as well as regional and global issues of concern. The discussions were candid and constructive. The opening ceremony of Airshow China 2021 on Tuesday drew worldwide attention, with several of the most advanced China-made drones make their debuts, including the GJ-11 prototype, WZ-7, and WZ-8, which first appeared at the military parade at Tiananmen Square in Beijing in 2019. An expert said this shows China's complete confidence in its world-class unmanned aerial vehicle or UAV technology. The Aviation Industry Corps of China, or AVIC, the drone's manufacturer, the GJ-11 is an advanced flying wing combat UAV with strong stealth, penetration, and precision strike capabilities, and it can be used to attack enemy targets despite intense electronic countermeasures, conduct offensive air domination missions, and contain hostile air defenses. The AVIC also brought two WZ-7s to the show, one for the exhibition hall and one for public viewing outside. According to the AVIC, this UAV is used for aerodynamic configuration image intelligence gathering as well as tactical reconnaissance missions. The WZ-7 employs the Type Tandem Wing aerodynamic configuration, which is the first time in the world that such a design has been used for an aircraft. This UAV has been used in a variety of environments, and its dependability has been demonstrated. It's the second drone that can freely cross civil aviation routes, according to the AVIC. On Tuesday, Song Xiongping, a Chinese military expert and TV commentator, told the Global Times that because the drone can freely cross civil aviation routes, its flight duration and range are the same as those of civilian aircraft. A civilian airliner can normally fly for more than a dozen hours and over 10,000 kilometers, so the WZ-7 can also stay in the air for more than a dozen hours and conduct intercontinental flights. According to Song, the first drone with such capability in the world was the US-made Global Hawk, which can fly for more than 10,000 kilometers. Zhang Shuifeng, a Chinese military aviation expert, the WZ-7 has some distinct advantages over the Global Hawk. The Global Hawk has large wings, as large as Boeing 737 wings, but it'll be heavier, Zhang explained. The WZ-7 is lighter with a stronger lift force, so in terms of pneumatic proportions, the WZ-7 is better than the Global Hawk. A Chinese military expert requested anonymity in a previous interview. The WZ-7, with its tandem wing design and large size, has a long endurance, allowing it to complete its intended missions. According to the expert, the drone's official designation is now WZ-7, and the PLA Air Force is presenting it to the general public at the exhibition, indicating that it has entered service with the PLA Air Force. It was previously known as the Soaring Dragon. The WZ-8 is a high-altitude, high-speed unmanned aerial vehicle or UAV for reconnaissance missions, as well as a new near spacecraft that combines aviation and aeronautical technologies. The AVIC said in a statement to the Global Times that this UAV can gather high-resolution images of targets under heavy enemy defense and provide valuable intelligence and information for all units to conduct battle damage assessments. The coatings on the drones displayed outside the hall range from light gray to dark. The GJ2, WZ-7, and WZ-8 are these models, and Zhang stated that the AVIC is sending a signal that China has a variety of drones with varying altitudes. The color of an aircraft's coating darkens as it travels from low to high altitude and then to near space. According to experts, this is a strong signal of confidence in the field of UAV technology. And that's all we've got for today. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, you should watch the other video on the screen right now to find out why countries are building drone fleets in the aftermath of the Russian-Ukraine war. Please like, subscribe to, and follow our channel for more great content and up-to-date information.